Consider the possibility that we are led by idiots. This is one of my favorite titles and one of my favorite articles by Ben Domenech over at the Federalist, and I think about it all the time. There are people in life who see order in chaos, conspiracy in folly, and meaning in randomosity. There are people who will always try to craft narrative out of things that are actually just human error and catastrophe. Now, I am talking to you about this, of course, because one of our crowned cultural elites, J.J. Abrams, he revealed once again that malice and agenda setting could not have undercut the Star Wars sequel trilogy more than just pure incompetence. In an interview with Collider, Abrams discussed the trilogy and creative back and forth that he had with Rian Johnson, who directed The Last Jedi, Episode 8, between J.J. stints directing the bookends to the trilogy, The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. What did he have to say?
A number of projects that have been, in most cases, series that have ideas that begin the thing where you feel like you know where it's going to go, and then sometimes it's an actor who comes in, other times it's a relationship that as it's written doesn't quite work, and things that you think are going to just be so well received just crash and burn, and other things that you think like, oh, that's a little small moment, that's a one episode character, suddenly become a hugely important part of the story. And I feel like what I've learned as a lesson a few times now, and it's something that especially in this pandemic year, working with writers, the lesson is that you have to plan things the best you can, and you always need to be able to respond to the unexpected, and the unexpected can come in all sorts of forms. And I do think that there's nothing more important than knowing where you're going.
What is he talking about here? Because when he is saying that you have somebody that's a one episode character who's suddenly become a huge part of the story, right before that he is saying that sometimes things are not going to be well received and crash and burn. So saying that basically you make a movie, you make a character, you make a show, and it gets bad reviews, gets bad tweets, or fans don't like it, and so you just change the story, write out characters. We know that this happens. This happens in television a lot. But why on earth would this happen in a Star Wars trilogy, where I think the fan imagination is that there are creatives behind the scenes sitting down, crafting the beginning and the end of a story, and then trying to figure out what is the middle, because we sort of believe that Star Wars means something, that Star Wars has direction. I think the prequel trilogy is an example of something that might have tainted the sort of Star Wars vision of order and things being planned. George Lucas was pretty emphatic, like front to back, episodes 1, 2, and 3, that there was a story that he was going to tell there. Not much was going to change in the way of the content. Episode 3 might have experienced tweaks and changes in the dialogue and some of the actual scripting to go along with the political moment of the time, things going on in the United States and in the real world in regards to the war on terror and the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and like things were tweaked, but the story was the same. Now, the Star Wars original trilogy, it's a little bit of grace here. George Lucas and nobody knew that Star Wars Episode 4, 1977 was going to be a success. The movie was planned as a one-off, just Star Wars. That's why you have Leia and Luke kissing a little bit, and that romantic attraction is sort of being established for later on down the road. Even going into Episode 5, again, not clear if this thing is really going to take off and capture the entire attention of the country and the world, and it did. And so therefore, Star Wars was evolving over time. The relationship between Luke and Leia was not decided on up until the time of Return of the Jedi. Luke and Vader were not connected up until writing Episode 5. These things grew over time. But how on earth, when you're sitting down with Star Wars, in 2013, 14, 15, right? You've just bought it from George Lucas. You've got to revive the franchise, excite fans again, and relight that flame of the Force. And you don't have a plan. It's hard to stomach. It's hard to believe that people would be put in charge of this thing, given millions and millions of dollars to make the movie, and not write a story. Instead, they write scripts, they come up with characters to check whatever boxes need to be checked, and I'm not just saying like politically correct stuff, right? Like I don't care about that stuff so much, but just like filling archetypes, right? And you don't have the story that you are trying to tell about the galaxy far, far away in the years after Return of the Jedi. If J.J. Abrams had spent even a minute in Boy Scouts and absorbed the mantra of be prepared instead of the Cub Scout mantra of just do your best, maybe we would not have ended up with Palpatine hanging from a stick, the magical vanishing main character of Finn, the Stormtrooper, who just was completely wiped out of the movie by the time you get to Episode 9, after all this buildup of trying to figure out who this guy is and where he's going. The Final Order and Sith Eternal replacing the First Order, the villains that they had built up this entire time. And the Skywalker lightsaber being handed down to a new generation of characters and heroes, and then never explaining how it even survived the fall and was found after it was dropped by Luke on Bespin in Episode 5. A story for another time, of course. Abrams acknowledges even more. He says that
there are projects that I've worked on where we had some ideas, but we hadn't worked through them enough. We had sometimes we had some ideas, but then we weren't allowed to do them the way we wanted to. We had, I mean, I've had all sorts of situations where, you plan things in a certain way, and you suddenly find yourself doing something that's 180 degrees different. And then sometimes it works really well, and you feel like, wow, that really came together. And other times you think, oh my God, I can't believe this is where we are. And sometimes when it's not working out, it's because it's what you planned. And other times when it's not working out, it's because it didn't. It's like you never really know. But having a plan, I have learned in some cases the hard way, is the most critical thing, because otherwise you don't know what you're setting up. You don't know what you're, what to emphasize, because if you don't know the inevitable of the story.
This is all true. It is absolutely true. You have to be nimble in storytelling. It's something that I think it's really easy to Monday quarterback. When a movie's made, it stinks, and you're like, my gosh, how did it end up this way? But when you're out there in the field, doing the thing, making the movies, cutting the film, writing the scripts, your actor dies, right? Carrie Fisher passes away in the middle of this new trilogy, and they have to get super creative about what the heck they're going to do. They deserve plaudits, huge applause for making work what they did in The Rise of Skywalker, using old footage from the time that they shot The Force Awakens, repurposing it and using special effects to use that footage and put her into The Rise of Skywalker in a way that felt somewhat coherent. Is that the way I would have done it? No, I would have killed off Leia in the opening crawl and just let it go that way. I think it would have been more reverent, it would have been a little less artificial, but I'm not a movie maker. I actually really respect what they did with the tools and the situation that they were given for Episode 9. It was really, really clever. But there is something that just cannot be forgiven with me about going back and forth between storytellers, having them fighting openly through the narratives of the stories that they're telling, and then sort of like lashing back at fans who are frustrated by that inconsistency and that mishandling of something that they love so, so much. Now look, I do not hate the sequel trilogy. I don't hate any Star Wars. Not a single bit. I love Star Wars. I rank the movies in order from favorite to least favorite. And Disney on net has done an amazing job, a damn good job with the Star Wars franchise. The Force Awakens, Solo, Rogue One, every single animated series, The Mandalorian, the High Republic canon, as well as elements of The Last Jedi. Yeah, I said it. So while The Last Jedi challenged some of my views about how Star Wars should be, it represented a view, of a galaxy that was interesting. I respect listening to like another fan's view of the Force, the Jedi, the lore, someone like Rian Johnson giving another spin on it. It was a little bit frustrating, but I could understand it. And that was just made so much worse by the attempt to walk it back in Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, and react to fandom discourse. Star Wars cannot and should not be made in a boardroom by committee, getting fan feedback and focus group reactions. It is hollow. Fans can sense it. We need storytellers helming Star Wars who have vision, understand the galaxy, are married to this universe, and really want to see it grow, not travelers from other franchises who are passing through and want to put their mark on Star Wars. No. Star Wars is not for leaving your mark on it. It is for building, and it is for weaving these things together and making the galaxy make sense. Star Wars has never made a lot of sense. And like, this is the era where it should be getting all brought together so that we can understand the galaxy far, far away a little bit better. So please, Disney, Lucasfilm, more of this. Less of this. More of this, less of this. I believe in you. You can do it. Star Wars is in your hands, and we have no choice. And you're doing an okay job. More planning, please. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. This is a new venture to do some more Star Wars talk. You can follow my podcast, Beltway Banthas, where I talk about the politics of Star Wars. And also, you can follow my newsletter, politicizeme.substack.com. And my new book, How the Force Can Fix the World, Lessons on Life, Liberty, and Happiness from a Galaxy Far, Far Away, coming to bookstores near you in December of this year. So if you subscribe to the newsletter, politicizeme.substack.com, that's where you can find out more about it, pre-order, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching.